Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, my name is McNeill, and I am the master wealth builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business. And I am so excited today because I am soloing it, discussing Think and Grow Rich, in particular, your subconscious mind. And if you have been following us every single week, you know that we come before you with this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Regardless of the version that you have, please follow along with us, with me today. Today, I'm going to be sharing actually from the actual book. And if you think about your subconscious mind, how do you grow your subconscious mind? How do you tap into your subconscious? Well, let's talk about it. Start with the end in mind. As you think about your subconscious mind and you think about what's most important to you, I want to challenge you to think about, go back to the desire principle by Napoleon Hill. And as you think about your desire, what is that? No. What is your desire? You see, because if you have great clarity about your desire, then the subconscious mind can work with you to actually achieve whatever it is you desire. Well, I want to start by actually going to the actual book itself and sharing the words of Napoleon Hill. And this is going to be a read, discuss, share. And if you have any questions, you can put your questions in the chat on the YouTube. Yes, you can put your questions in the chat on YouTube. Well, let's go and start with what Napoleon Hill says. He says that the subconscious mind is actually, it consists of a field of consciousness in which every impulse of thought that reaches your objective mind through the five senses is classified and recorded, from which thoughts may be recalled or withdrawn as letters may be taken from a filing cabinet. Now, imagine a filing cabinet. The filing cabinet itself, if you can visualize this, is actually your mind going into the drawer. And as you pull out different things that have been placed into the filing cabinet, can I say that again? You must have already put files in the filing cabinet in order to pull something out. Just want to make sure we're clear. Now, your subconscious mind receives and files all sense impressions or thoughts, regardless of their nature. It doesn't matter. Can we say that again? All these impressions, these thoughts, regardless of their nature. Now, you can voluntarily, it's up to you. You can voluntarily plan and plant in your own subconscious mind any kind of plan, any kind of thought, and any kind of purpose that you desire to translate into its physical or monetary equivalent. Now, the reason that is so very important, we go back to the principle number one, which is desire. Because if you start this book talking about what is it that you want, Napoleon Hill tells us how much, these are the 6 steps. How much money do you want? Number one. Number two, what are you going to do in return for the money? Number three, by what date do you want the money by? Number four, and I'll stop there. Where's your plan of action? Now, your plan to achieve number one. But let's continue. No, I'm not going to stop. Let's continue. Number 5, he says, create an affirmation statement. And this is where the subconscious mind comes in. Because number 6, he says, you must recite the statement twice a day, once upon arising in the morning, and then once before you retire at night. Why is that? Because your subconscious mind works day and it works night. It does not take a break. And through this procedure, which we don't know what it is or how it works, your subconscious mind then draws upon the forces of infinite intelligence for power, which it voluntarily transmutes. And we talked about the transmutation in the previous chapter, but the infinite transmutes your desires into its physical equivalent. And this way, it makes it possible for you to use your own mind to determine what you want to achieve and what you want to accomplish. And in preparation for this, I started looking at a number of other books. And one of the books that I brought today, because I want to ask you, how do you grow? How do you, your own subconscious mind, how do you tap into your mind? This is one of my favorites, Prosperity. And then behind me, I have my toolbox. I have my toolbox with many, many, many books in it. And then next to this, I have my daily, yes. And I'll move over some so you can see. These are some of my daily reads from, not all of them, no, not all. But from Frederick Douglass to many other areas of my business, Emerson, which I love to read. Yes, even if it's a paragraph. These are Emerson essays. Even if it's a paragraph, every day, a line or paragraph, because he is so deep. But he talks about the subconscious mind. And I'll just share with you some of the things that he says about your subconscious mind. He basically says that the subconscious mind will respond to the directions of the conscious mind, so long as those directions do not interfere with absolute laws of nature. The subconscious never moves against natural law, but it has the power to use natural law. Slow down. Your subconscious mind has the power to use natural law that improves over time. The natural law will improve your subconscious mind over time. It will not act in contrary to it. It will reproduce in your mind and body any condition that is thoroughly impressed and deeply felt in the conscious mind, which is why Napoleon Hill tells us about our feelings. We'll come back to that. You must, when you recite your affirmation, just like a prayer, you must have feeling when you say it. You must have feeling. I have affirmation that I use, and I say every day in every way, I am getting better and better. I believe that. That's the short version. The long version, we'll do that on another show, okay? The same thing with the self-confidence formula. You see, when we recite these affirmations and or prayers, you must have feeling. Because you see, I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. Now, yes, I can go ahead and recite all of that, but my point to you is this. You must have feelings when you recite, memorize, read your affirmation and your prayers. But let's finish up with what Emerson is saying. And if you just joined me, this is Ann McNeill. We're talking about your subconscious mind as we mastermind with our mastermind group and learning how do you build a blueprint for your subconscious mind? How do you build actions on how to tap into your subconscious mind and how to use it to achieve that which you desire. You see, because Emerson tells us, he said, it will produce in mind and body any condition that is thoroughly impressed, deeply felt on your conscious mind. This is one of the reasons why, for me personally, I cannot watch the news before I go to bed. I can't even talk to certain people before I go to bed, because then I take that emotion with me and it seeps into my subconscious mind, and I have a restless night. It took me years of watching the news with my family just so that I could, have family time. But what it was costing me was dearly. So I had to figure out a better way, and I'm working on it. We're all a work in progress, to where I do some other things with family time. They can watch the news. I can't. And it wasn't until I started studying this philosophy. You see, my mentor, Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, Emerson, Fillmore, so many of the greats. When we study the word of God and we begin to understand the power that it has in terms of teaching us every single principle that we need, it becomes critical. Let's go back to critical that you understand how your own mind works. That's my point. If you continue to desire a strong physical body and fully expect the subconscious mind for you a stronger body, you will find that this will gradually and finally be done. Consciousness, health conscious, family conscious, spirit conscious. It's your consciousness. But then subconscious, you got to understand, as we all are understanding, it is the impressions that the social media, that the advertisers, that our family and our friends impress upon us. Let's continue. We're reading words from Emerson. He goes on to say, you will steadily grow if you continue to desire a greater ability along a certain line and expect the subconscious to produce greater mental power along that line. Your ability will increase as expected, but it is necessary in the connection to be persistent and persevering. I like to call it persistent till you succeed, with a spirit of excellence. Excellence. To become enthusiastic, we've heard the saying, you must be enthusiastic. But become enthusiastic about the things for a few days is just not sufficient. It is when we apply these laws persistently for weeks, months, and years that we find the result to be not only what we expected, but frequently far greater. And I can attest to that. People say to me, how can you be in this book and these principles from 1979 until today? And this is my response. In order for me to learn how to program my mind and not allow my mind to be programmed by others, sure, there's a percentage of that that's going to happen. A small percent. But then it may be a greater percentage and we don't realize it. But everything has a tendency to grow in the subconscious. Whether an impression or desire is placed in the subconscious, it has a tendency to become larger, and therefore the bad becomes worse when it enters the subconscious, while the good becomes better. You have the power. That's the point of all of this. You have the power. And I just want to make sure that we drill down into this philosophy and this concept to the point to where we have a greater understanding of the impact that it has. And one of the books I have back here is also the book. And I love reading a proverb a day. I don't do it every day. Sometimes I may do a few verses. Sometimes I may do a little more, and sometimes a little less. But when we understand that, and this is from the book Prosperity by Fillmore. That's Charles Fillmore. That's this one. We are talking about the subconscious mind and the power it has. And for those of you that are in the word and know the word from the Bible, Fillmore shares in his book Prosperity, he says, Jesus stressed the idea that God has made abundant provisions for all his children, even to the birds of the air and the lilies of the field. The Lord has clothed you with soul substance as gloriously as he did Solomon. That's deep. That's deep. You, regardless of who you are, if you're listening to me live or sometime in the future, you are clothed in the same substance as Solomon. Believe that. But you must have the faith that this all providing, yes, substance. You must have the faith that this all providing substance, he says, of good, and by your continuity of imagination, set it into forming the things that you desire. One of the areas we read in the previous chapter, we talked about one of the individuals who set for ideas. You see, your subconscious mind is tapping into your imagination, and your imagination is impacting your subconscious mind. But it is forming the things that which you desire. But what is it that you desire? That is key to all of this. I digress. But if you are persistent in working this idea in your conscious mind, it will eventually drop down into your subconscious mind and continue to work there, where things take form and become manifest in visual substance. When your subconscious mind becomes filled with its overflowing point, then it will positively, assuming that it's positive that you're putting in, it will positively impact all of your affairs. Now, to wrap up, you must become more prosperous and successful as you gradually and simply and naturally realize that all of this derives from a divine source in answering your prayers. We started off talking about Jesus stressed the idea that God has made abundant provision. It comes down to your prayers and your prayer life. When you think about it, you must go to prayer in a positive, not fearful state of mind. You must realize that however, that whatever we put as seed into the subconscious soil will eventually bring forth after its own kind. What are you planting? What are you putting into the soil? So what are you putting into the soil? Positive? Negative? It's up to you. Whatever it is you're planting, needless to say, you already know that is what's going to come up. But if you plant positive in the subconscious soil, you will eventually bring forth after its own kind. And we must exercise the greatest condition so that we do not think or talk about insufficiency or allow others to talk to us about it. As we sow in mind, so shall we reap in manifestation. I want to just also encourage and ask you, if you have any questions, you can put the questions in the chat, but you can also text 55678. I am hosting solo today, so I do have my phone. You can text me if you have a question, and I will ask your question live, and I'll also do my very best to answer. Let's see how we can find the answers. And as we wrap up prosperity, it is said that some of our well-meaning friends and family have a way of loading us up with hard times, hard ideas that disperse this prosperity substance that we have accumulated, in a negative, of course. Sometimes even one adverse thought will cause it to escape. Then we must go back and patch up the broken reservoir of substance thinking. Stop and think about somebody said something to you. You were having a good day, and one unkind word or a look. How about that look? You know the look? The look that someone can give you, and you know that look was not well intended. No. It was not well intended. The law of supply is a divine law. This means that it is the law of mind and must work through mind. God will not go to the grocery. God will not go to the groceries and bring food to your table. I had to laugh because I think sometimes for many of us who are spirit-minded Christians in particular, we pray and then we get up and we don't move our feet. We pray and we get up and we don't change our thinking. We pray and we get up and we don't take that phone and dial and dial and dial and dial and make that sale. We pray and we get up and nothing has changed because our mind has stayed the same. We went to prayer really not expecting. We went to prayer not expecting. Okay, I'll talk about myself. Years ago, before I understood the power of positive thinking, especially when you go to prayer, can be negated with negative thinking. And I kept wondering why my prayers are not answered. You must study to show yourself approved. I was blessed yesterday to have an opportunity to share with the corporation called Haskell Construction in Jacksonville, as I was doing a presentation called Blueprint for Success. And I was sharing about the different areas of our life. Yeah, you must have a blueprint for your life, but you must also have a blueprint for your business. And your business is not your life. No, it's not. No, it's not. But also, your life is a business. And I contended you have 10 different departments in your business called life. I like to call it you, the corporation. And one of those is your spiritual, and then your family, then financial, then health. All of these are departments in your business called you, the corporation, called your life. Your health, your education, your personal development, your business, your career, your recreation, your creativity. All of those are departments. I call them 10 departments of your life. This is the blueprint for successful living. But when I talked about the spiritual, and I'm going to come back to this, I shared with the audience, how can you live a word you do not know? So when you think about God will not go to the grocery and bring food to your table, but when you continue to think about God as your real supply, everything in your mind begins to awaken and to as you awaken and contact the divine substance, as you mold this into your consciousness, it seeps into your subconscious. But I want to go back to, how can you live a word you don't know, Ann McNeill? So, like I shared last night, I had to go back to the book. And I had to start with the first, it's 66 books in here. Yes, it's not just a single book. There's 66 books in here. And I had to start with the first book. And it took me literally 2 years to slowly start at the beginning with the first book and get to the end of Revelation in the 66th book. How can you live a word you do not know? I'm not saying you don't know it, but how can you live a word? That word. You see, we go to school and we learn the words. We speak different languages and we learn those words. And you have to study those words. But what about this word? And so when you think about that in every area of your life, this is how you grow your subconscious mind. And as we all begin to learn how to connect with the infinite intelligence that leads and guides. You see, go back to Think and Grow Rich. And if you're just joining us, this is Ann McNeill. I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life, yes, and business. And I am, yes, your solo today. Yes, I am your solo today. Our co-hosts are out, and I decided I'm not going to have a no-show, and I'm not going to play a replay. I am going to be here for you, sharing on the philosophy of, yes, this book, as he talks about your subconscious mind. And again, if you're just joining us, I just want to encourage you to think about your subconscious mind. How do you use it? How does it work? and what happens in terms of making it work for you. All right. Now we started talking about reading from the actual version of the book and actually looking at how do you grow your subconscious mind. That's what this is about today. How do you grow your subconscious mind? And I want to just encourage you to think about, as you look at all of the principles that Napoleon Hill shares, I really want you to stop and think about, what does it mean to you? Start with the first one. Then you go to the second. Now I'm going to share the video and you can see what Napoleon Hill has to say about the 13 principles. All right. But now, if you have your book, I really would appreciate if you would humor me and share with me and go through these principles, because what happens is that as you begin to continue to study, to show yourself approved, then it makes a big, 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 big difference on how we proceed.
Burning desire.
Start with desire. Yes. As we start with the principle called desire. I just cannot think of anything that is better as you think about starting over. Have you ever started over? Starting over with the principles. Starting over with this book. It's deep. Yep, it's deep. All right. And we will not be
compelling reason for doing what it is we do.
We will not be doing that today. Okay. All right, so let's keep going back to the principles, and I'll just continue to read through what Napoleon Hill has to share. And I'm going to check with many of you that may be listening in on the YouTube to give me 1 second, because I do want to make sure that we do honor you if you're here and you're listening. Put the 55678. If I have any questions, you can text Ann at 55678. And I have my phone here, and I will answer any questions you have. Also, you can put your question in the chat, or I don't have a problem giving you my number. That number is 786-546-0184, 786-546-0184. If you have a question, you can ask your question in the chat, and I will do my very best to answer that question for you. And that will allow us to have a dialogue. All right. All right. So questions, you can put them in the chat. Also, I do have a regular, Donnelly Ferguson. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I do want to pay respects for you. And again, you do a phenomenal job in dialoguing. So if you have a question, Donnelly, you can definitely put it in the chat. And I will do my very best, yes, do my very best to pull that question out of the chat. Now, I see you do have a question. I love the analogy of the file cabinet. Before learning these principles, I've filled it with all kinds of junk. How can I erase or empty those items out of the subconscious file? That is an excellent question. I can just only tell you, Donnelly, what I have done and also what I am doing. And what I find that works well for me, as you can see behind me, I love to read. And one of the books that has helped me, well, actually two. One is called The Logos of Now, Conscious Language. And this book helped me to understand that all of these impressions were becoming deeply seated and deeply rooted in me. And what I could do is create affirmations for the stubborn ones and reciting those affirmations regularly. And over time, what I began to find is that slowly those thoughts would dissipate. Slowly those thoughts would disappear. And I'll give you one. When I was 13, yes, 13, I remember being asked to give an Easter speech. It was short. It was very short. Now, this was in my file cabinet, Dolly. It was very short. And I got up. My mind and my mouth sat back down, but my body was still standing there. And I stood there so long that people, especially my family, kept waiting for me to say something. But I could not remember. Now, why is that important in my file cabinet? Because 10, yes, almost 20 years later, Donnelly, that 13-year-old was still impacting that 30-year-old. And this is one of the reasons I never went to Toastmasters, but I did become a member of the National Speakers Association, which is I still am today, to help me begin to work through that. And I think we can see with me sitting here by myself, sharing with all of you on this screen, I'm still working through it. And even today, Donnelly, just for the mere fact that I am sitting here by myself, is confirmation that it's a process. That's one. Secondly, what has also helped me is, and we've talked about this a lot, but for me to read, write, and recite the self-confidence formula, to read, write, and recite the self-confidence formula, because by doing that, I am reprogramming my not just conscious mind, but my subconscious mind and superconscious mind to such a level that I truly, and I mean without question or doubt, I believe every single word. And then there are prayers, our Father's Prayer. One of the areas, Donnelly, that I was going to share today actually comes from the book Prosperity. And with your permission, I hope it's okay if I share. You can put yes or right in the chat. And for those of you that's listening, Donnelly is joining us from our Zoom, so I could see his question. But those of you that are joining online, if you want to text me, that's 786-546-0184. And that's my cell. I don't have a problem giving that out. But Donnelly, this is something that is in the book Prosperity that I love when it talks about going back to your point about the subconscious mind and being able to remove certain files. And really, it is a matter of focusing the energy, transmuting the energy, moving that file from something that in our mind is a negative. Because remember, Shakespeare tells us, Donnelly, that nothing is either good nor bad, Donnelly. It is our thinking that makes it so. So when you put that negative file in that drawer, it was a negative. No, it was just a file. Now you can go back into that same drawer, Donnelly, and this is what I like to do. You take out that file, which is a thought, impression, and you write it on a sheet of paper, whatever that is. And this is something that I've practiced. And I draw a line in the middle of the page. And on the right-hand side, I write, now the sense impression is at the top, whatever you think is a negative, right? On the right-hand side, I ask my mind to give me opportunities, ideas, and positives that can come from that one thought. Okay? So on the left-hand side, I list the negatives. On the right-hand side, I number them, all the positive things. And then I look at it, ends up like this. The negatives may have a 1 or 2. The positive can go infinite because my mind and imagination keep bringing me positive. And I would challenge you to experiment with that and find how it works. And please come back. I want to share these words from Prosperity. It says, banish all thoughts of being a martyr to poverty. No one enjoys poverty, but some people seem to enjoy the sympathy and compassion that they can excite because of it. Overcome any leaning in that direction and every belief that you were meant to be poor. No one is ever hopeless unless he is resigned to his imagined fate. Think prosperity, talk prosperity, not in general. And I'll come back to your question, Dolly, about the negative that's in the file. Think of it as a positive and keep telling your mind that, and watch how your subconscious mind begin to slowly turn it into something good. May take a while. It's like taking that lemon and making lemonade, right? Think prosperity, talk prosperity, not in general, but in specific terms, not as something for the other fellow, but as your very own right. Deny every appearance of failure, stand by your guns, and affirm supply, support, and success in the very face of question and doubt. Then give thanks for plenty. That's the other one, darlingly. Whatever is in that file that is negative, give thanks for plenty in all your affairs, for a certainty that your good is now being fulfilled in the spirit, in mind, and also in manifestation. And this is what I was getting to. This is a revision of the 23rd Psalm. And I love these words. It says, the Lord is my banker, my credit is good. He maketh me to lie down in consciousness of omnipresent abundance. And this is coming out of Prosperity. He giveth me the key to his strong box. He restoreth my faith in his riches. He guideth me in the paths of prosperity for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk in the very shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy silver and thy gold, they secure me. Thou preparest a way, says D. Thou preparest a way for me in the presence of the collector. Thou fillest my wallet with plenty. My measure runneth over. Surely, goodness and plenty will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall do business in the name of the Lord Jesus forever. So that, Donnelly, hopefully that is helpful. And if you have any other questions, I appreciate them. And you do. Thank you. All right. So Donnelly says, yes, I would do that. Thank you so much for that technique. And we know that all things, yes, they do, Donnelly, all things work together for good. And so I'm going to go back to the principle of Think and Grow Rich and continue as I wrap up. And again, my name is Ann McNeill, and if you just joined, I am the host today. We're talking about the power of your subconscious mind, the power of your subconscious mind. And we're in the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I also read some excerpts from Your Forces by Emerson. Also read some excerpts from Prosperity by Charles Fillmore. I love to read, and this is how I impact my subconscious mind. And this is how I grow my subconscious mind, by focusing my energy and drilling down, not so wide, but drilling down and connecting my subconscious mind with my desire. And that's what I really want to challenge all of you with. Just checking to see if any of you text me. If you text me, I will have your question. And I'm not sure, I think you're saying that Johnny Lloyd is asking a question. Thank you so much, Michelle. Johnny Lloyd is asking a question. Okay, Johnny Lloyd asked, what is my favorite principle and why? Desire. Thank you for the question, Johnny Lloyd. My favorite principle is desire. And the reason my favorite principle is desire is that I am now beginning to learn that every single principle that follows desire connects to desire. Every single principle that follows desire connects to desire. And I want to thank you for that question. I want to walk through that for 1 second. Let's take faith. I have faith in the achievement of what? What is my faith working toward? My desire. Faith in and of itself. I sat in this chair. My desire is that it would hold me. I have faith and belief that this desire will come to pass. And because I've sat in this chair so many times, that faith is strengthened on my desire to be held. Every single thing I am learning connects back to my desire. Let's take autosuggestion. My autosuggestion of my affirmation connects to what? My desire. Faith without works is dead. Works without faith is dead. Therefore, I will work like it all depends on me. Pray and have faith, excuse me, like it all depends on God. God is blessing me. This is my affirmation. This is my autosuggestion. This is my spiritual affirmation that I recite regularly, but it's connected to my desire. Autosuggestion, what are we reciting and why? Specialized knowledge. My specialized knowledge as a contractor is connected to my desire to make money. If my specialized knowledge was not connected, whether it is one type or the other, if it's not connected to my desire, then I'm just busy. Been there, done that. When I had my corporate job, I didn't really have a desire. I was just all over the place. But when I started this business, I began to realize that I needed to specialize and niche to be richer in one thing at a time in my skill. But that skill is tied to my desire. I'm walking through, Johnny, I can walk through all 13, all 12, all 10 that's left. Imagination. My imagination is tied to my desire for what? Right? Thank you so much for that question. And thank you so much, Michelle, for helping me with that. Because I'm realizing, and I can go over to YouTube, I just don't necessarily like to do that. And then I find that my YouTube starts playing, and then all of a sudden you figure out, you say, what is that noise in the background? What is she doing? I want to see if I can see those of you who are on YouTube, but it will take me, yes. Okay, let's make sure that I go on mute. Yes, perfect. All right, got it. So thank you so very much for those of you that's joining. Doretha, Colette, Johnny, Shannon, Michelle, Gloria, Imelda, yes. And Colette says, a prosperity, yes. Prosperity is by Fillmore, Colette. Prosperity is by Charles Fillmore. All right. Okay, got it. Charles Fillmore. Thank you. Yes. Doretha says yes. Johnny says, is the author by Robert Tennyson. Okay, Johnny, Lord had a question. Oh, thank you, Johnny. She says, we appreciate you. I appreciate all of you too. You know, we come here as a group every Saturday, and I decided that I'm not going to use the excuse. No, not going to use the excuse. I'm going to press my way. And Michelle is on here, and she said to me yesterday, she said, oh, I can help you. I said, nope, 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 nope. Nope, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to press my way. Why? Because the subconscious mind does not know the difference between what's true or false. The subconscious mind only knows what we tell it over and over and over again. And many, oh, Johnny, of course, you know, you were here with me a year or two ago when it was just the two of us, and there was no producer on at that time. And I was struggling, Johnny, struggling. And so I'm doing it all by myself today. And as Michelle knows, I practiced yesterday because I wanted to honor each of you. When you come here and we share, I want to honor you, but I want you also to learn how to honor yourself and set goals that are aspirational, set goals that are visionary, set goals that will impact lives behind you. You see, because people are watching you, and they will only hear your voice. They're not going to hear my voice. They're not going to hear the voice of the person next to you. They will only hear your voice. And so higher is calling. But will you level up? That's what this whole podcast is about today. Will you level up and become all that God is requiring and asking of you to be? That's what this is about, because it starts with your desire. Thank you, Johnny, for that question. But connect to the source. But when we begin to learn how to use our own subconscious mind through autosuggestion, through desire, through faith, through infinite intelligence, it is so very, 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 very powerful. But everything starts here. It doesn't matter which version you have, everything starts here. And I think oftentimes we can be so busy. Yes, we read a lot of other things, but what you will find is that the ones that resonate with you the most are the ones that connect back to this original book. Good morning, everyone. This is, oh, hi, Lion Clark. My question is, how do you juggle multiple desires? Well, I don't think it's a juggle, Lion. And Lion is managing our, he's a student that I met on one of the schools that I spoke to. And every Sunday, he volunteers with our children. And he comes on, he manages the Youth Think and Grow Rich Mastermind every Sunday at 1:30. And if you're interested, you can go to the Think and Grow Rich website. You can register there. You can also register on Eventbrite. And it's powerful. Thank you, Lion. But to answer your question, how you juggle multiple desires, I don't think it's a juggle. I think it is an affirmation that you first should write. Write an affirmation in each of the areas that are important for you. So I started mentioning my affirmation, and Doretha and I are in the same mastermind group, but my affirmation has a paragraph for each area of my life. So I mentioned the spiritual, have family, but again, it didn't start that way, Lion. And as a teenager, a young person, almost a millennial, I would encourage you to just start with a small affirmation, which you do already have and you recite on Saturday. And you will find that you will not juggle if you focus on, you take the affirmation and then you write steps up underneath that affirmation, one, on how you expect to achieve it. And if you want to write a second affirmation in a different area of your life, you may want to write a couple of steps up underneath that affirmation. And if you want to go with a third, For example, you may want to have an affirmation for your studies, for education part of your life, right? I'll give you my affirmation for the education part of my life. I'm a lifelong learner. I am a lifelong learner. Now, that's the affirmation. But I have a couple of steps up underneath that are actions that I take. This is why it's not juggling. I have a couple of steps up underneath that, actions that I take. So one, I rise earlier. How do I learn? I rise earlier. I have a daily date with myself. Actually wrote this book. I don't have that one, but I wrote a book called A Daily Date with Myself. And in that, on a daily basis, when I rise, I have certain things that I do to enhance my being a lifelong learner. And many of these books, on a daily basis, I actually have a basket is right here. It's kind of turned sideways, this basket. And each morning, I go into that basket and I would do a few minutes on 3 or 4 or yes, 5 of the books. And I'll share one with you. This one, my grandson gave me. And I do, this is called 1,000 Leads by Alice Harmosi. My grandson gave me this and encouraged me to read. I read a paragraph, no more than a page a day. My Bible, the Proverbs. So what I'm saying is, it's not juggling to me at this point in my journey, largely because I have been on this journey for so very, 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 very long. But thank you so very much for that question. So powerful, Johnny. Thank you. The author of Logos of Now. I don't have it here, but I would tell you it has an orange cover. If somebody can help me out in the chat. Johnny, thank you so very much for that question. Conscious language. You can Google conscious language, the Logos of Now. Tennyson. I'm sorry, I think it is Tennyson. Oh yes, I think it, but you can check me. I think it might be Robert Tennyson. Yes, I think it might be Robert Tennyson. All right. I don't know where the time went. I want to thank all of you. It is literally 4 minutes to the hour. Thank you so very much for blessing me with your time today. I am hosting every month a Clarity Mastermind. And if you would like to connect with me and become a part of a larger vision of what's possible, you see, it's about the accountability. And oftentimes we want others to hold us accountable. My desire is really simply just to create a space. I'm in the group, and because you're holding me accountable for showing up every day, it's not easy, especially when life happens, especially with work and travel. But I am committed to the commitment to show up like I did today and make sure that I tap into my own subconscious mind and grow first by making deposits into myself on a daily basis. But also when people come to you, you must have already, before you step out of your home, before you pick up your phone, you must have already made deposits into yourself, because people are making withdrawals from you every single day. And if your deposits do not exceed your withdrawals, at the end of the day, yes, you're going to be bankrupt. So I'm making deposits in every area of my life, and I would challenge you to do the same thing. You can connect with me by texting the word "and" to the number 55678. You can also connect with me by going to my website at annmcneill.com, become a part of our Clarity Mastermind. It is only a platform to allow you to have a place to be held accountable, whether you're in a mastermind group or not. And then finally, I'm hosting my Life and Legacy Retreat. Those details are also on my website. You do have to qualify. Yes, you must qualify to attend, because the group is very, very, very small. And many of the individuals, once they come, they want to come back and they make the investment of the time, talents, and treasure to work on themselves. But again, now I have 1 minute left. If you have any other questions before I wrap up, I cannot tell all of you enough how appreciative I am. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, King Flowers. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Robert Tennyson. Thank you, Doretha, for that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, teamwork makes the dream work. And I think that every Saturday we come here, we're investing in each other as a mastermind. Donnelly, all of you, I'm so appreciative. And especially to my co-hosts who are not here today, I'm so very appreciative to you also for just showing up and encouraging and supporting me. And Galen, I did my very best today to produce, and I pray that all is going well for all of you. Please continue to remember to continue to think and grow richer. And I am going to prepare to wrap this podcast up. We have been listening to, yes, moi and McNeill, talking about Think and Grow Rich, the subconscious mind. Please join us again next Saturday as we continue this conversation, as we continue to discuss your subconscious mind and how do you really focus on that? All right. So this is the end. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, it is. It is the end. And, and Michelle, y'all already know that I do my best. All right. And prayerfully, that is good enough, because today, this is going to have to be it. All right, everybody, we're going to let you go. And we will see you. We'll see you next week. All right. Thank you.